Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini, who you've gotten to know over the last little bit. He's a real sweetheart. He helps me in the craft room and also makes messes in the craft room. And we have a fun card for you today. I have a card that is Happy Easter. It's a little different than I usually do, but I found some paper in the, what is it called? Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper, and this paper is going to be around just for a couple of months more, and so I'm trying to use things that will likely be retired out of the annual catalog when the new one comes out in May. So I made this card. This sentiment is Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy, Happy Everything. And so let's just get started. Here is my card. It is Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy, Happy Everything. And it uses some of the Designer Series paper from that Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. And then the rabbit and the grass in the back I got from Nature's Beauty. And this one was a host set, I think 2 years ago, and then it made it to the annual catalog because I think some of these images were real popular. And so now, this is one of those times I'm not sure who Puccini is helping, but I have put this together on this card, and this paper I thought was just gorgeous. And on the back side of this paper is, let me see if I have a bigger piece of it out here. I do. It's got almost a winter scene that is pines. I'm getting maybe a little too much help here, but pines and winter and snow and that kind of thing. And then this side is this pretty greenery. It's done in evening evergreen, and I am sure this is Misty Moonlight. And I decided to pair it with Night of Navy. Now on this card, whoops, there's Puccini messing my camera up. On this card, I used both Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight, and I've decided on the card we're making this time, I'm just going to use Night of Navy throughout because I think it'll actually give more contrast. So this is the card, and this is what you need to make it. We need a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and this card base is in Night of Navy. Let me just give this an extra score here so the card lays a little bit flatter. Then we have a piece here for the front that this is 2 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and so the piece for the inside is 2 inches by 4 inches, and that goes here on the front. Then we have this piece of Designer Series paper that is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4, and this fits across here. Then we have this piece, which is 3 inches by 1 inch. And then we have a piece of white that is going to hold our message that is 2 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. Then you will need some scrap white to do your stamping of the bunny, and unfortunately he does have to be cut out because there's no dies for this set. And then we have a piece for the inside that is 4 by 5 1/4, and we have a strip 3/4 of an inch by 1/4 for that, and then we're going to do a little bit of stamping on the inside. You could sure cut another bunny and put him inside if you chose to do that. But that is the card pieces that we need. So let's just get going here. All right, so there is a little evening evergreen ribbon around this piece. So what I'm going to do is do my stamping first, so I can assemble my pieces and then I can put the card together since I have ribbon to worry about. Okay, so I have mounted my grass and my rabbit and my sentiment. And I am using soft suede for the rabbit, evening evergreen for the greenery, and then I'm using Night of Navy for the sentiment. And so let's get on with the grass that's going to be here. And I better clean that up. I've gotten ink all around my edges here, and that's going to create shadows for me if I'm not careful. So I'm going to just clean up those edges. So I've got my evening evergreen here, and this is red rubber, so I can just go ahead. Let me put a little bit of scratch paper underneath that. And I'm going to do some of the grass off of the card, and then maybe up a little bit along the inside here. This was kind of spare in here, kind of light, not much going on there. And in the end, I decided on this one to add a little bit more stamping there and fill that in a little bit. Then what I did was using my soft suede, let me get that one closed, using my soft suede and getting my rabbit inked up as much as I could, really quite a bit. I wanted to stamp him on this panel right down here so that there would be a shadow of what I'm putting over the top. So there we go. There's the rabbit. I know that's a hot mess. It doesn't look good. But we're going to take our piece of white scrap that we have, and I'm going to do that rabbit again on my piece of scrap right up here. And I have several of these to make. This is going to be a swap for a couple of groups. And there's my rabbit. And what I did to give him a little bit more interest is I took my blender pen and I just kind of went along the edges of that brown. You see how it picks up the color and moves it around? And I went particularly around his tail so the white of his tail would really show. And in some cases there wasn't enough color moving around, so I dipped it a little tiny bit in the brown. For instance, I want real definition around that tail. There we go. And then every place that it was kind of shaded by the stamp, I went ahead and went over it with this to move a little bit of color, including his little foot that's showing down here. And there we go. We just kind of fill him in, and he's like one of those little yard rabbits that go crazy in your my neighborhood. They go crazy. There's a million of them. And there's my rabbit. Now what I did was I fussy cut this rabbit out. And to save a little bit of time, I've already fussy cut my rabbit out. So there he is. Now I can put him on this card over the top of this rabbit. And if you're peeking under the side, you can see the shadow of what I have stamped and cut out. So we're going to raise this rabbit here. And I'm just going to cut a little tiny bit here to go on his ears so they are supported. There we go. Oops. Could use that to be over a little bit. There. Oh, there's my buddy. And then I'm going to cut another piece of this dimensional and put it across his nose. Now once I take that backing off, I hope you can still see with the cat here a little bit. Anyway, so that's the dimensionals that I put on my rabbit. And then I'm going to go ahead, I think maybe I can use a little less help now. I'm going to move him off, go find something else to do. And I'm going to take my rabbit and I'm going to put him right over that stamped image. So it really does give dimension to the rabbit. And if you happen to look at him sideways, it really does look 3D. So that's what I'm doing with that. Then this piece is going to go on to this piece. And I'm going to use my seal. Should have done this part before I put the rabbit on, but that'll be fine. It'll work just fine. So now I'm going to center this piece on here. There we go. Now then, this piece is going to go on the front and offset just a little bit on here. And I want to put this piece down before I put my ribbon on, because you'll notice on this one that was my example, I put the ribbon over this piece. And actually on this one, I might move it in just a little bit. So I'm going to add some seal to the back of this piece and get that set where I want it, right about here, with a similar margin top and bottom, and then a little more than 1/4 of an inch on this side. Get that down. Then I need a piece of ribbon. If I put this ribbon on, maybe just a little tiny bit in. So that's more than long enough. All right. So that piece is going to go here. I'm going to use my dot runner to secure that ribbon. And I'm going to put some adhesive down here and then put my ribbon in place right here just on the inside so I get a hint of that white. I didn't like the way that just disappeared over the blue. All right, so let's see if I put that down there like that, kind of like that. Then this can come down here and be secured on the back. Oops, I didn't get my glue far enough over. So there we go, secured like that. And there we go. Very good. Now I can add more glue, and this time I'm going to use my seal and get seal down on this piece, and then go ahead and put this whole piece on the front of my card. And isn't that just pretty? I know that's Evening Evergreen, and it must be, it's in the same tone family as the Night of Navy, and I just love the way the Night of Navy set this off. So there we go. This is really a pretty simple card. And then we have this little bit of stamping to do. Now, I've already cut my piece, so I'm in serious danger of not being able to stamp this straight. So if you're worried about that at all, do your stamping on a bigger piece and then cut it down to size so that you make sure it's straight. I'm going to give this a whirl. I need to have a cushion for this, and I need to move a couple of these things basically out of the way here and put this down. And because this one is photopolymer, get my Happy Easter, Happy Spring, and do my best to set that down on this. I may have gone too low on it. Yeah, I did. I'm going to try that on the other side again and see if I can't get that put in place a little bit better. There we go. I think that's going to be a little bit better. Not much, But fortunately, I have done one ahead of time where I had a little bit better luck. So again, if you do your stamping on a larger piece, then you can just trim down with your trimmer and get straight edges and make sure that your sentiment is straight. So I have this one that I am going to add a little adhesive to the back. I'm just going to do that with my dot runner here. There we go. And then center that on this Night of Navy piece. Get that moved over just a hair. And see what we can do about straight. Okay, there we go. Now then, this piece is ready to go on here. And I did bump that up on dimensionals. And then place this. I'm going to center this just a little bit lower than I did on the other one, so that it is over the grass and it doesn't leave a whole great big bunch there. There we go. And then I took a piece of this evening evergreen and I just made a simple knot bow. And if you keep your ribbon and don't allow it to get twisted, so that when you pull this tight, you have a much better chance of getting a ribbon that is straight on both sides, like that. Then you can take your, in my case, my ribbon scissors, and trim off those edges so that you get them the way you want them with an angle. Whoops, didn't make that very even. Let's try that. And so now I've got this bow. Now you can forego the bow if this is going to go to a male, but I decided to go ahead and put this one on. So I'm going to just pick a glue dot up with my pick tool here and put that down right here on my sentiment. Now, in order to make those tails sit down, I'm going to take a glue dot and fold it in half and tuck it mostly underneath that knot, but have a little piece of it extending so that I can get that tail to sit down. And you can do the same on the other side if you have any difficulty at all. So rolling it over on itself and mostly sticking it under the bow, and just make sure that there's a little bit of a tail of that glue dot hanging over the edge. Now, there is a knot bow that is relatively straight, no big curves, and that's not going anyplace. And so there we go. In fact, that whole thing needs to be just moved up a little bit because it's starting to cover my sentiment. And I'm just going to encourage the whole thing up a touch to get it more away from the sentiment. There we go. All right, very good. All right, now then at embellishments, what I used on that one was these in color rhinestones from, so I've got Evening Evergreen here, and I thought I would put them one on my sentiment, then one up here to kind of fill the gap, and then just dotted a few more around on the card, maybe right in there. I don't want to look like they're all in a row or anything. One more to make it an odd number. And maybe I'll put this one right in here. And there we go. That is the outside of it done. Now, for the inside, I have my piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4. And for that one, I'm just going to put, like I did on this one, a little bit of this grass down on the bottom. So I need my evening evergreen again, and my greenery that I'm going to use a little bit of scratch paper underneath this and just get that greenery both on and off the card. And for this one, I just don't want these pieces of ground to show, so I'm going to put this underneath here and do that. Nobody will ever be the wiser. And I'm going to have one more piece kind of going up the side here. There we go. Kind of like that. Then I have my strip of this pretty designer series paper, and I'm going to stick that on this side. And I just need to put some adhesive on that. Kind of fun to do it on a different side and have it look a little bit different. And so right here, leaving a little bit of a margin, and in this case I've cut it a little bit long, which I frequently do, so I get a perfect fit. And there we go. All right, so that's ready to go on the inside of the card. And this is one, if you don't mind fussy cutting, it is kind of a fun thing to do, to put another rabbit on the inside. And I'll show you how I would do it if I were going to do that. Since I have a lot of these to make, and it's a lot of fussy cutting, I do have another rabbit cut, but you could easily put another rabbit right over here on this side, or kind of on the designer series paper. I think that would look very cute on there as well. And you could add another sentiment to the inside, best wishes, or, you know, thinking of you, and anything else that you'd like. I think I'll probably leave mine blank until I think about what else I might want in there. But that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Joining Stampin' Up! Is always a good thing. The deal is $125 worth of product for $99, and you start out with a 20% discount. And that is just actually a pretty good deal. It's a 25% off intro offer. And let's see, this is still March. My prize draw for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me. And how you put yourself in the drawing is to put an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it through my blog, www.inkingenuity.com. There's some great sales going on with Stampin' Up! If you check on my blog, I've got a couple of posts up there. The mini stamp cut and emboss machine is on sale for 20% off, so it's $48 instead of $60. And there's 12 bundles that are also 20% off, and all of those bundles have dies that work in the mini machine. So there's lots of stuff always going on with Stampin' Up! If you have questions, feel free to give me a call. My information is always listed below the video, and I'd love to talk with you. I so enjoy connecting with people. Don't ever hesitate to call me if you have some questions or you want to just chat stamping. So that's it for me. I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!